What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So the Four Nations face-off is now in the books. Canada has won the gold medal after an overtime winner by Connor McDavid, and I thought I would give 9 final takeaways from this tournament, whether it's about certain teams, certain players, the overall future of the NHL and international hockey. We're going to go through it right now. I'm not going to lie. A lot of this is United States centered, considering I am an American. But yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it, and I'm sure Canadians are going to like the first one because as of right now, it is still Canada's sport. And when looking at USA, they need to win something relatively soon because I think people don't really realize that their window in terms of being co-favorites with Team Canada, it's not looking that long in terms of this current crop. Right now, USA's golden generation was all drafted between like 2013 to 2019. I think Gensel was 2013. Jack Eichel's on the younger side of that. At 2019, they had great drafts. 2016 draft, they had 4 legit stars, 3 true stars in that draft alone. That is their golden generation. 2015, Jack Eichel, Kyle Connor, other guys that I'm forgetting about. But yeah, that was their core, and all those guys are now in their prime. But when you look at outside of that 2021 to 2026 for the United States, the guys that they've produced in upcoming drafts that they're going to have, it kind of pales in comparison to Canada. When looking at Canada, they always draft elite. They always have elite guys coming out. But from 2018 to 2022, they did have a pretty big lull. They definitely produced some guys that are going to make all-star teams, but no real superstars. So that has led to the United States catching up to Canada in a big way. But Canada is coming back in a big way because when you look at them from 2023 to 2027, Connor Bedard, Adam Fantilli, Matt Celebrini, Matthew Schaefer, Michael Miso, Martone, McKenna, DuPont. You compare that to Team USA, it's like Logan Cooley, James Hagans, Will Smith, Ryan Leonard, 2026. I don't even know who their top guy is. Like, the next wave of Canadians are coming. So although, again, Canada, it's still their sport. They are the favorites going into 2026. They're definitely co-favorites right now, but that's not going to last for that much longer. I'm not saying that they're going to be impossible to beat, but come 2032, it's probably going to shift more towards being like the early 2010s in terms of Canada being the presumed favorite instead of, say, co-favorites. Because, again, once Eichel, Matthews, Quinn Hughes even start getting into their 30s, they are going to start regressing while Canada has that next generation. So Team USA got to win in 2026, 2028, or 2030. You got to get at least one of those, or else it is going to be very, very dark for the United States hockey. I think that they're going to win at least one. Whether they'll get to 2, we'll see. But yeah, if you're a Canadian, you got to feel pretty good considering this is the United States American generation, and you got the first one, although it's the one that's probably going to mean the most if the Four Nations, assuming we have the World Cup of Hockey in 2028 and of course Olympics in 2026, 2030. But Canada's delivered the first blow. United States has shown that they can hang, and it is co-favorites going into 2026. But as of right now, it is Canada's sport. The U.S. developmental program has been going through some rough stretches and looks like it might be a couple more years of that, but they need to start pumping it out. So come the 2030s, we don't have DuPont, McKenna, Schaefer, Celebrini, Bedard just absolutely killing the United States, which is definitely possible at this point. Takeaway number 2. The New York City Metro Tri-State area boys absolutely failed Team USA. All of these guys played well below expectations. I think JT Miller played like fine, but even then, still I expect more from a guy that had 103 points last year. But Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, too small, bodied, invisible throughout this tournament. Jack Hughes got pushed nonstop. If someone touched him, he basically fell down to the ice. Adam Fox, for a guy that is won in Norris and is regarded as a top 5 defenseman in the entire NHL, I've repeatedly said that he's the 3rd best defenseman in the NHL. I don't know if I can defend him. Granted, he has had good playoff runs before 2022. He had like 25 points, one of the best highest scoring modern era playoff runs by a defenseman. But yeah, those 2 guys in particular, bad. Between the 6 of them, they had 1 goal and 1 assist total. Chris Kreider scored a goal. Jack Hughes had an assist. The other 4 were scoreless in this tournament. In that gold medal game, you look at it, Nelson and Fox. It was more so on Nelson, but it started by a Fox turnover. The Sam Bennett goal. Fox was on the ice for the Connor McDavid goal, but that one really wasn't his fault. Trocheck took a dumb penalty. Not good from these guys, and rightfully so. The 3 guys on that bottom line should not be on Team USA because we got to bring Tage Thompson and Jason Robertson. That's takeaway number 3. As much as I understand the logic of being like, we need 4th line, more so grinder guys, Tage Thompson's still 6'6", 6'7". Jason Robertson's like 6'3". These are still bigger guys. Although they're maybe not the most physical guys, they're both very, very good defensively or have become pretty elite defensively in the last couple of years. We can't go with these gritty guys like Trocheck, Nelson, and Kreider. You look at them in that gold medal game, they had like a 10% expected goals percentage. It was absolutely brutal. Again, I understand guys like Kyle Connor, like a Clayton Keller, Cole Caulfield, small guys that aren't that physical. I understand leaving those guys at home, but leaving home a Tage Thompson especially, who was playing good at the time of selection, I understood why Robertson didn't get it. He was pretty bad on like when they picked the team at December 1st. I think he had like 16 points in 32 games or something ridiculous. Like, that's kind of hindsight. He has been playing great of late, but you cannot leave home a guy like Jason Robertson, a guy that has had put up 109 points in a season before, 46 goals, as well as Tage Thompson, who I think has solidified himself as a top 35 player in the entire NHL with his two-way game. I think in 2026, your fourth line is Robertson, Thompson, Tuck. You bring Alex Tuck, another guy that's a big-ass dude and has chemistry with Tage Thompson. Honestly, those guys might be playing higher in the lineup considering some of the other talent on this team, like Erik Hughes. We need to bring our best. And the same could be said for Canada as well, although Bennett again showed up in that big game. Sorelli played very good. But yeah, we can't bring these old mid-30s guys that, yes, they kill penalties, but they offer nothing offensively. Final 30 minutes of that game, basically once it was tied 2-2, we didn't have much. We didn't have much. They didn't offer jack shit. And again, they weren't even good defensively when it mattered most. Bring two-way absolute monsters that have had heart-level seasons before. Bring your best guys. Bring Robertson and Thompson. Pretty self-explanatory. I think everybody can agree. Bring the two sons. Next up, Elias Pettersson, another son we're talking about. Dude, it's not looking good for this dude. He was horrible in this tournament. Put up a big fat donut, and in that final game, played like 9 minutes for Team Sweden. I think this injury is just something he's going to have to deal with for the rest of his career. Him and Thatcher Demko just permanently injured for this Vancouver Canucks team. I don't know what the hell you do if you're the Vancouver Canucks. Again, I understood moving JT Miller if he was the locker room problem. You bet on Pettersson to bounce back, but I don't know if we're ever going to get Pettersson back to what he once was. 2023, Pettersson, 102 points, fantastic both ways of the ice. Not only is his confidence seems to be shot, he just doesn't move the same way with that knee injury. I'm very, very concerned. If I'm the Vancouver Canucks, I maybe look at moving off Elias Pettersson. Well, you could maybe still sell a team on that. Like, it's not that bad of an injury. You can move off him, because if you go into next season and he yet again is this disappointing, he's going to be kind of immovable, even with the salary cap going up at $11.6 million. Another son we're talking about, Sanderson. No Sanderson disrespect tolerated. This guy has been clowned on throughout his entire career for the most part because he plays for the Ottawa Senators. He's a monster. He's an absolute beast. Got called up for this team once Quinn Hughes was down. People said, oh, they should have brought someone else. Then once Quinn Hughes was possibly eligible to return, they said, oh, Jake Sanderson, you got to take one for the team. You got to leave. I jokingly said that. Obviously, I really like Jake Sanderson. I've defended him in the past. I said when he signed that 8-year, $8.05 million contract, that was going to age fantastically. Holy shit, that's like a top 10 defenseman deal in the entire NHL. But yeah, in the gold medal game, although they lost, you look at Jake Sanderson, showed up in a big way. Great goal that required insane hand-eye coordination. And it wasn't just that. He had a 64% expected goals percentage. He is just such an amazing skater. He should make the team in 2026, most likely, because he can keep up with these Canadians, and he does have some physicality. He's not completely soft. He's like 6'1", 6'2". He can play with the best of them. He's damn good. He's a top 21 to 30 defenseman for me in the entire NHL. He's 22 years old, playing like 24 minutes a night on the Ottawa Senators, playing great two-way hockey, on pace for like 50-ish points. I think this guy's eventually going to be a top 15, probably top 10 defenseman in the entire NHL, and yeah, after his performance in that championship game, no slander, no Lane Hudson is better or anything ridiculous like that by Montreal Canadiens fans that I see from time to time on Twitter. Next up, another son we're talking about, Erik Karlsson. It's the fucking son episode. Erik Karlsson still got it, and he has boosted his trade value to where I think a team could potentially take a chance, should potentially take a chance on him. He was by far Sweden's best offensive defenseman in this tournament, a tournament that does have Rasmus Dahlin. He was also very good in his own right. But Karlsson showed that when you actually give him some talent in terms of guys that can skate with him instead of being with the Pittsburgh Penguins, he can really create a lot of offense both on the rush and from the blue line when he got active sticks in front. It was very impressive watching Erik Karlsson cook in this tournament. Still, I wouldn't love trading for him at his current contract at $10 million. He has 2 seasons after this. But if you can get the Pittsburgh Penguins to retain $2 million, get Erik Karlsson at $8 million, I think he's probably around an $8 million defenseman. Again, with those cap jumps, even if he does slightly regress the next 2 seasons as well, I think you potentially take a chance on Erik Karlsson, whether that's Ottawa bringing him home. That would be awesome. The Carolina Hurricanes, if they don't believe that their young defensemen are really ready, maybe as a Brett Burns replacement. The Islanders, you want to move off Noah Dobson, that one's completely out there. But the Toronto Maple Leafs, if you don't think Morgan Riley is going to bounce back in a big way, bring in a legit offensive defenseman like Erik Karlsson. Florida Panthers maybe get crazy and move off Ekblad. They say, we're not going to pay you something. We're going to get a 2 to 3 year kind of deal with Erik Karlsson. It's going to be interesting to see. I think he's potentially movable this offseason. He has always been very good offensively. The defensive concerns are definitely there. But if Pittsburgh's willing to eat some money, I think you look into that seriously in terms of acquiring a guy like Erik Karlsson that still is probably a top 10 offensive defenseman in the entire NHL. Take number 7. If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, you got to feel pretty confident about this tournament. Mitch Marner got that OT goal, got the game-winning, gold-winning assist for Connor McDavid, had a great assist to Sam Bennett when he brought it to the middle of the ice, attracting Adam Fox and then dumping it off to Sam Bennett. Matthews, although he should have scored that goal against Jordan Binnington to win it in overtime, amazing play with Cale Makar defending him to wrap it around to Brady Tkachuk in front of the net. I thought their two stars played pretty good, especially in that gold medal game. Matthews, I thought, throughout the tournament, although maybe you wanted more on the score sheet, I thought he was pretty effective. And yeah, in TD Garden, Mitch Marner has 2 primary assists to win the biggest game of his entire career. That is definitely encouraging. If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, maybe they can finally get out of the second round this season. Take number 8. Quinn Hughes is going to be by far the most important player for Team USA in 2026. I said this before the tournament when they lost him. I would have been fine losing Austin Matthews or Jack Eichel or even Connor Hellebuck before this tournament, because what Quinn Hughes brought to the table on that top power play, just as the number 1 defenseman, didn't get a single power play in that gold medal game. But not saying it's rigged or anything. But yeah, as that number 1 defenseman, as that puck moving absolute magician at the blue line, I didn't think Adam Fox was going to play this bad, but with Adam Fox playing the way that he did, Quinn Hughes is going to be so massive for this 2026 team. Zach Werenski played good. He's no Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is going to be by far their number 1 defenseman. They have a shit ton of forwards where if one of their forwards go down, if Connor Hellebuck goes down, as much as I love him, and I think he shut a lot of people up about him performing in big games, they can still go to Jake Ottinger, or Swayman was amazing in the playoffs last year. You can't replace Quinn Hughes. Again, I'm not saying that they would have won this game with Quinn Hughes, but in terms of being able to generate offense from the blue line, in terms of being able to keep possessions alive within the offensive zone, Quinn Hughes would have been much, much needed in that gold medal game. And come 2026, he's probably going to be the United States' most valuable player, and he better not get hurt right before the Canucks better clear him if he is somewhat hurt to come to Italy and help out Team USA. And then lastly, this is kind of a repeat of when I did this a couple days ago. The NHL's hot. The NBA's not. What a smashing success this tournament was. And by the way, other takes, I did a take video like a couple days ago. Slavin obviously played great. I don't want to repeat all those takes. Should have said that at the start. But yeah, this one just needs to be hammered home again. When looking at this tournament, we weren't sure how exactly it was going to go. People were going to give a shit. Not only did the players give a shit, everybody in North America gave a shit. Yes, it became extremely politicized, and I absolutely hated somewhat talking about this tournament, especially the gold medal game, because of that politicization. I don't know. But when looking at it, yeah, it was awesome. It was overall great for the game of hockey leading up to that championship game. I had people that never watched a hockey game in their life texting me about it, being like, what do you think's going to happen? Does USA have a legit chance? It's awesome. Now, hopefully, we can have a great trade deadline, great final stretch of the regular season, great playoffs to really get those non-hockey fans truly on board. And I'm not saying they're going to pass the NBA in like 5 years. The NBA is still much, 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 much bigger. But again, when looking at which way leagues are trending right now, the NHL, they fucked up marketing a shit ton of times. They have got this so correct, and I think we're going to see it with the year off, year on international hockey. That's going to be so massive to growing the game. I don't think you can do it every year. I kind of agree with Connor McDavid. We should give the players somewhat of a break, because them having to do this die-hard tournament and then go back to the regular season, go back to the final 25 games of the season. If a team's in a playoff race, it's just nonstop. But, yeah, I think every 2 years having this kind of international hockey is going to be great for the game of hockey, and I'm really freaking looking forward to it. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? What do you think is going to happen in 2026? This was awesome. This was a great tournament, although it wasn't the ideal result for my Americans. Maybe we'll get them back in 2026. We got to get them back in 2026. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.